We begin with the story that has been dominating the headlines and the cable news airwaves all day today. The interception of 2 packages bound for Chicago with explosive material inside. Packages apparently contained laser printers with toner cartridges that had been tampered with. You're looking at one of those cartridges now. It was found covered in white powder with wires sticking out of it and a circuit board attached to it. Preliminary analysis shows the explosive material found in the cartridges was PETN, the same kind used in the failed plots of both Shoe Bomber and the Underwear Bomber. Tonight, NBC's Pete Williams is reporting that officials say the amount of explosive material found in one of these packages was 5 times greater than what the Underwear Bomber was carrying last year on Christmas Day. If you wandered past a television set today, you probably noticed this story's getting a lot of attention. By this afternoon, we got a briefing from the president himself.
Although we are still pursuing all the facts, we do know that the packages originated in Yemen. We also know that al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, a terrorist group based in Yemen, continues to plan attacks against our homeland, our citizens, and our friends and allies.
Both packages were intercepted before they reached the U.S., one in Dubai and one at a British airport. But all cargo planes arriving at U.S. airports carrying cargo from Yemen were delayed for extra security screening today. Of course, we still don't know all the details behind these devices, but generally speaking, there are 2 ways we as a country can react to and interpret this kind of news. One option is, which is familiar by now, we should all panic. There are terrorists out there and everybody should freak out. The other option is we should consider the fact that these devices were intercepted as good news, as evidence that it's actually not super easy to carry out a terrorist attack inside the United States. There are a lot of people working very hard to prevent that from happening. And look, they were, in this case, apparently successful in those efforts.
The president was clear. Our counterterrorism professionals are on the job, and the president's not going to change his schedule, and there's no cause for Americans to change their schedule.
Joining us now is Richard Engel, NBC News chief foreign correspondent. Richard, thanks a lot for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
So do you think this incident today, I mean, again, it's very early in these, and I'm always hesitant because we get these, we get breaking terror news, and a week later it turns out we got it totally wrong. So with that caveat, do you think it looks now like this was sort of an American intelligence success story, a counterterrorism success story?
There is one success story, clearly, that letter bombs, package bombs, were sent to a Jewish community center and a synagogue in Chicago, and they were sent from Yemen through a variety of other countries, because you have to use intermediary shipping agents before they came here. That's why they were intercepted in the UK and in Dubai. So yes, it is a success story that the Saudis passed on the intelligence, that the U.S. counterterrorism officials were able to mobilize their allies, and not only stop those 2 packages from arriving even before they got to American shore, and then they stopped every single package, and there are not that many of them. We're talking just about between 10 and 20 packages that were on their way from Yemen to the States. So, yes, a very effective response. All of the allies apparently coordinating, Saudis passing on this key piece of intelligence. But there's another way of looking at it. Was it also a success from the militants' point of view? And I've spoken to senior counterterrorism officials who say that militants, al-Qaeda included, are starting to consider failed attacks as a success because of the amount of attention they get, because of the amount of disruption they cause. Militant groups considered the attack in Times Square, which also failed, to be a success because it put their name back into the headlines. It disrupted New York. It cost New York a lot of money. It scared some people. So there has been an order, I've been told by senior counterterrorism officials, to keep it up, to keep the pace going for little kinds of attacks, which, even if they're not successful, have a strategic effect from their point of view. So it's like almost calling in a bomb scare to a school. You sit back and you watch the kids scatter, and if you're a bomber, that is a pleasurable experience because you were able to project power onto that situation. But from the law enforcement perspective, nobody got killed.
So, do we have any indications yet? You talk about militants. There was in the presidential briefing today with Robert Gibbs and with Brennan, there was talk about al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Is it fixed yet? Who's responsible for this? Do we know who is behind this? What the intent was?
I don't know who, and I think those investigations are ongoing. The suspicion is all on al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, and that's a pretty clear suspicion. It was mentioned by the president, so I think that's the chief suspect right now. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is an Al-Qaeda franchise. It wants to attack the United States. It has used PETN in the past. It was the group that tried to bomb the airliner as it was coming into the United States on Christmas Day almost a year ago. So if we assume that is the organization, instead of trying to physically bypass security by putting it onto a person, they thought, hey, why not? Why go through all that expense? We'll just put something together and we'll pop it in the mail. If it blows up, great. If it doesn't blow up, it only costs us a few $100s, and look at all the disruption we've done.
Look at all the disruption. Keep calm and carry on, I guess, is the takeaway. NBC News chief correspondent Richard Engel, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.